Hello. It is the snake. It is time for Endwalker. Ah, this expansion. It's so good. Ah, world empty. Only 10 players in queue? That's a new low. Usually it's around 40. Cory. Zenos X Snake is Snake. Yes. How is the Cory? I assume you're still at the other place. Not home. Homed. Are you going to stay there overnight? Or work? Walk. Yeah. I see. Sleepy times at work. Is it at least comfy? Does the picture slide? Maybe if you want to. The comfy Cory corner. If you write all of them with a K instead of a C, it's funny. I'm going to set my home point here, I think. Oh no, my free destination, even better. And my home point, just why not? Just both. Comfy Glacialis? Yes! Honestly, a Cory emote that is, like, in a blankie would be very cute. Just call it Cory Glomph or something. I don't know. Comfy Glacialis. Oh boy. My brain is frying. What? I'm glad I spotted your ship coming into port. The officers are born bureaucrats and sticklers for detail. In any case, you might relax to take a moment to get your land legs back. Read it, lacy. Ah. Comfy lacy. Lacy. Nice. Ah. I had thought to launch directly into an explanation of what I've learned and how we might proceed. But this is Rain Estinian's first time in Chalian. For the rest of you, homecoming was long overdue. You must have places you wish to visit, and people you're dying to see. Therefore, I propose to postpone our agenda so that you may have sufficient time to recover from your journey and get your bearings in the city. Once you've settled in, we can reconvene at Baldesian's Annex. How does that sound? That's a fine suggestion. It may not be welcome the level your estate as such, but I should like to know those around the neighborhood are the same. I am equally untethered, as it were. There's no particular place that my kin call home. Still, I would not pass up the opportunity to reacquaint myself with the city. Likewise, a quick tour of the old haunts might even yield some useful gossip. The Annex was west of the Etherite Plaza, wasn't it? I shall join you there anon. Yes, we'll see you there. I do have places I would be remiss in visiting forthwith. by their leave. What if you're stealing it? My services are guide as a guide are yours for the ASCII. That won't be necessary. Until we reconvene, I prefer to wander the wind as the wind takes me. But I could... Alright, would you like to join us then? You've been gone for quite a while. This would be the perfect way to refresh those dusty old memories of yours. Oh, of course, if you will have me. Comrade, Charlian awaits. Catboy adventures. After you, my friend. I'm more than content to follow your lead. Yay! All set? Then let us be on our way. Our first stop, amusingly enough, will be the last stand. It's a cafe on the west side of the harbor. I know how this works. Yes! The squad is on the road! Let's go! Whee! Okay. With all the unusual wares coming and going on at all hours, I expect the assistance of an intrepid adventurer would be highly appreciated. I see no reason why you couldn't undertake any tasks which pique your interest. You have been clearly cleared by the immigration officials, after all. I look forward to the day your name is celebrated in Charlie and others the same way it is in Eorzea. This place is called the Peristyle, and it's the first stop for cargo unloaded at the docks. You'll find the unusual necessities for daily living and other imports vital to running the island nation, but also supplies that further Charlian's pursuit of knowledge, namely large quantities of books, specimens, and samples. Sorting these stacks certainly seems to keep the attendants busy. Wham! Now that's a sight one could hardly forget. The statue of Taliak. As a student of Badessian, I was usually quartered at the other's wall, but I would gaze upon the scholar's wise features every time I returned by ship to the city. This path leading toward the sea is known as the Taliak Stoa, so named for the statue of the scholar which stands at its end. As you know, the Charlian people prize the accumulation of wisdom above all else. Thus, when Taliak was chosen as our patron deity, it was more a matter of pragmatism than belief, an alignment in principles, as it were. We may have honored him with rather impressive sculpture, yes, but our faith is not so restrictive as of that. That of, say, these guardians. Individual Charlians can and do worship the divinities of their choosing. This statue is still so good. I love this statue. And here we are, the last stand. I may have mentioned this before, but although our research into nutrition and food preparation is quite extensive, the average Charlian tends to regard seasoning and flavor with a certain indifference. How can I put this? The food it's bland, and as encapsulated by our infamous Arkan loaf, the prevailing sentiment toward cuisine is dietary value first and taste a distant second. There was one pupil at the studium, however, who could stomach the school's insipid meals no longer, so he quit his lessons and put all his savings into building a proper eatery. And so the last stand came to be. It is, as the noun replies, the sole dedicated outpost of fine dining in Charlian. The one and only bastion of the culinary arts in an isle of otherwise mediocre fare. I seem to recall the burger being hailed as one of the more impressive items in the menu. Not that I ever had the pleasure of eating one myself. Because you were a typical Charlian when it came to cheap and convenient, Raha. But surely Tataru has since taught you how to appreciate a well-prepared dish. We should all stop when the time permits and sample the cafe's delights. Shall we press on? The stairs to the side of the cafe here will take us up to the Aetheryte Plaza. I could not live in a place where the food tastes bland. Yummy food is such an integral part of life, in my opinion. I couldn't. Impossible. An unusual shape, isn't it? I assure you, however, that it's perfectly functioning aetheryte. Remember to tune yourself before you move on. Now, being the diligent tour guide that I am, I should make mention of the conference, a research facility located on this very plaza. Its much vaunted discoveries are the reason Charlian stands at the forefront of teleportation technology. In deciphering the underlying principles of Alag and Aetherites, it allowed us to understand and reconstruct what was essentially lost art. And off we go to our next destination. Our path leads northeast to the Agora, Charlian's largest marketplace. You're just eating blocks of wheat when I'm too lazy to make food. See, that's a different thing. That's like, that is choosing to just have nutrients instead of flavor because you want to. But not even having the choice of good tasting food before that restaurant was built, that's a no-go. That's the entrance to the conference. I have no doubt the expertise will prove useful at some point, so I'd suggest you remember the way here. Speaking of Aetherites, these teleportation fees do add up after a while, which is why I tended to rely on the far cheaper ferry services. I was pleasantly surprised when Mistress Tataru informed me that the signs are reimbursed for transportation costs as part of duties, but I find old habits hard to break. That, and I'd rather not be bothered filling out the necessary paperwork. Wait, we get paid back? I feel like there would be weird students who got really into food studies but had to stay hidden in fear of being bullied. Actually, I think there's a quest line about this. It's the Kakuin, and I need to drink. You are right. I also need to eat. I brought burger, but I haven't actually taken a bite yet because I'm stupid. I will munch on it during the next voiced cutscene, probably. Burgered. Okay. Do you mind if I browse the shelves for a moment? There might be some hidden gems I've yet to read. Only a moment. How optimistic. Feel free to browse all you like, but we won't wait around for you. Perhaps I'll return you later then. These little open-air book stalls are so uniquely Charlian. I'd always thought them a common sight until I visited other nations. Yeah, this is so cool. Just books. Look at this. I want just public bookstalls where you just can have books. That'd be so good. But yeah, I think, Corey, there's actually a quest line about specifically a student trying to make a better Archon bread, but also wanting to focus on the taste because the nutrition value they got with the experiments was excellent, but nobody could keep it down. And I think there's an actual plot line where that student gets bullied for wanting food to taste good. I think it's the culinarian quest line in the stadium. Culinarian and Alchemist questline. Public bookstores with books exist? Yeah, they do. But I think those are, like, you can just grab a book and read it. And it's just on the corner, and there's no one supervising it. I think that's how these work. Might be wrong. But yes, public bookstores do exist. You are right. Welcome to the Agora, where you can find wares at weight in Italian, as well as a wide selection of imported goods. They also used to sell questionable prototypes from various research, but I think that practice has thankfully died out, for the most part. Otherwise, I can think of no better place to stock up for your next big adventure. Yeah, like a bookshare, exactly. But like, I don't have any in my area, which makes me sad. Am I overselling it? On a more serious note, the next stop on our tour here is one which has particular relevance to our ultimate purpose here. You must head back to the Etherite Plaza, follow the path north, then climb the stairs up to that imposing building at the very top. Oh, you know what a funny, like, question is? Just of preference? Do you like locked minimap? And rotating cursor? Or do you prefer unlocked minimap? And the cursor always points up, but the minimap rotates. This is the Nymphaeum, an area dedicated to the blessings of water. For Charlians, water represents more than a life-sustaining liquid. It's a reminder of the great flood which participated in the birth of our nation, as well as a symbol of the knowledge which flows from Taliek's divine ear. It's the reason you see an abundance of fountains throughout the city and the propensity of utilizing water as a decorative feature in our architecture. Whoever prefers rotating minimap was sent by Helen should go back to it. Locked minimaps because the rotation kills me? Same. I hate rotating minimap. I don't know why it's an option. And I even know less why in some games it's the default or even the only choice. Like, why? No! It's a compass. Please make it point north. Like, to me, the little, like, the thing on the minimap that shows your heading is just a compass needle on the minimap. I have no orientation by default. Let me have some kind of map making sense. Yeah. These little decorative features are typical Charlian architecture. Aside from the research wing, our headquarters on the Isle of Val were rather simple and rustic by comparison. Da, 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 da. Ah. Oh my god, it's the golden Amazu. Nice. This grand structure before you is the Rostra. The name refers to the original public platform erected here, upon which a forum of elected representatives would deliver orations and debate policy. Although the stage has since evolved into council chambers, the nature of the forum and the duties of its members remain largely unchanged. Am I boring you, Raha? You seem awfully distracted. My apologies. From here one can see the entire city spread out below. This vista put me in mind of my arrival in the first. Those who gathered at the Crystal Tower asked me how they might go about building a new home. Naturally, my answers were all inspired by my knowledge of the finest settlements I could think of, the great city of Charlian. And bit by bit, those few buildings grew into a town, a community, the Crystarium. I can almost see its echo. I see. Feel free to come up here whenever you wish. I don't think the councillors would object to you simply enjoying the view. Such memories should be treasured. For now, however, the tour must go on. A spectacle of sightseeing concludes with a fittingly named Journey's End. Walk down the stairs to the east and continue straight ahead. Oh, really? Huh. We've arrived at Journey's End. History tells us that this was where those who would put us... We arrived at Journey's End. History tells us that this was where those who would put ashore with Archon Newcram built their first homes. In the present day, it serves as the residential district for most important officials and the oldest Shardian families. You'll see that one mansion is clearly larger than its neighbors. That estate belongs to a friend from friends of House Livergier. All things considered, we should probably keep our distance for the time being. And with that, we bring our little Shardian tour to a close. I hope it has proven to an entertaining and enlightening experience. Hi, Manny. Now, shall we head directly to the Baldazian Annex? You remember the way, don't you, Raha? Let me think. We're down toward the harbor, cross the bridge to our right, and follow the path below the Etherite Plaza. Correct. After Irain. I love Shardian. It's so beautiful. Right. We crossed this bridge here, as I recall. Stick to the path and be careful not to end up back in the Etherite Plaza. Shardian is full of educational and research institutions, but there are still professors who prefer to establish their own private practices. Not that I ever attended the exclusive schools they run in these residences. Perhaps the twins could tell you more about them. It also has like a strong Venice vibe going on, with like the water features and the vaguely Roman architecture, though it's actually more Greek than it is Roman. Still, the Venice vibe is there. More so than in Limsa, for instance, which doesn't have a strong Venice vibe, in my opinion. It has a strong, like, derelict ship vibe, because it is one. As the joyous look on Ra's face is undoubtedly informed you, this is the Baldazian Annex. If you continue up the hill, you'll arrive at the doorstep of the phenomenon. But I think we've explored enough for one day. We can take you there another time. Inside with you then. Oh, this music. Yes. I'm back, and I've brought Rain and Ra with me. Ah, you were right about the ship then. Hello, Raha. It's nice to see you again. And it's a pleasure to finally meet you, Rain. I've had many a tale of your exploits. Ojika! Ojika Tsunjika, it's been an age! Allow me to introduce you. Introduce Onjika Tsunjika, Administration Officer for the students of Baldazian. He oversees the day-to-day business of the Annex. Champion of Eorzea has featured prominently in Crowl and Graha's reports for me. So for me, this is akin to seeing a fabled hero come to life. It's an honor to make your acquaintance. This place is like a second home for the students. The Isle of Val served as our main headquarters, of course, but we often had an occasion to visit Shardian. Pasta casserole with cream cheese sauce. Ooh. Whether to make use of the city's research facilities, attend conferences, or procure supplies from the distant shores. And the annex here was built to provide lodgings for our members while we engaged in such activities. Ever since the former headquarters, along with the isle itself, vanished, the annex has served as our base of operations. And yet it feels so empty, with so many lost to us. Our organization is a shell of its former self. That was not the right intonation for that sentence. Anyway, the day will come when we will see the students rise again. But first we must ensure that the Tilleforoy fall. Though that door on the left is the main hall, through that door on the left is the main hall we can discuss our opening options moving forward. Once everyone arrives, that is. You'll probably have time to rest before discussions begin in earnest. I've had private quarters prepared for you in the entrance, so please feel free to make yourself at home. Ah, the nap rooms. Perfect for an afternoon doze. Oh, but didn't mean to give you the wrong impression. The chambers are quite well appointed. Far more than some cheap roadside inn. You may be assured. It was simply that we were often so busy with research or exhausted from journeys abroad that we would slip into the entrance just to steal a few winks. And thus they become known amongst the students as nap rooms, even if many such naps might last well into the following morning. So go ahead, and I'll be happy to show you to your chamber. Hopefully the others won't be too long in coming. I'll wait for you all in the main hall. Now I know what it is. Room. This is my favorite music for these restrooms, in rooms. Also, I love this room. Look at all the clutter. Look at all the stuff they put in here. It's so good. I love cluttered rooms. They even stuck things to the walls. Ah. And there's stuff up there, no space wasted. It's so good. Interior design in this game is on point as always. Oh boy. That's a bit too much cheese for me at this point. I'm lactose intolerant. But it sure sounds good. I wish I could eat it without going to the toilet for the next 2 hours. Feeling refreshed and alert? Our colleagues should be wandering in soon, so I suggest we stay here and wait for them to join us.
Pray forgive me. I was delayed.
Yeah, you were, weren't you?
It's fine, Oriange. We're all here now.
Let's get down to business then, shall we? Come what may, we must prevent the Telophoroi's plans from coming to fruition. At present, I see 2 paths for gathering the information which may aid us in achieving that goal. The first involves an investigation into the change which has come over Sharlayan, not to mention the recent inscrutable behavior of the Forum. As most of you know, the 99 members of the Forum are elected from the general populace. This alone guarantees a plethora of opinion with regards to foreign policy. The Bibliotheques, for example, are a group of conservatives which would have Sharlayan focus on recording history, while remaining entirely uninvolved in the making of it. And at the other extreme, we have advocates for proactive diplomacy and direct intervention. My grandfather Galef was one such member, as was Archon Louisois. Yet despite our diverse factions and philosophies, the recent vote to deny Eorzea's request for assistance was unanimous. Even more concerning was the fact that many cited other, more pressing duties as justification for their recalcitrance.
Fortuno's refusal in Gridania had those same undertones. 'Twas as if, having stared unblinking into the face of impending doom, He had simply turned away to pursue something more important. But what could that possibly be?
A mystery indeed, and one which I ask for your help to solve. Our future may depend on it. As for our second potential path, it concerns a request made directly to the students of Baldessian. Our organization was founded primarily to study strange and unexplained phenomena the world over. Mysterious relics and ruins, arcane disturbances, and so forth. Compared to our more isolationist Charlian colleagues, we have strong connections overseas, namely with scholars and academics who share our passion for the unknown. The request in question comes from one such acquaintance, Nidana, an alchemist residing in distant Thavnair. Her missive describes the sudden appearance of a tower, and the subsequent summoning of what I can only assume is a lunar primal. In response to this threat, the satrap of Radzat-Han, the individual who governs the city-state, has instructed the alchemists to find a means to deal with the spire.
The artisans of that land are heirs to an ancient tradition, one rather unlike that of their Uldan counterparts. 'Tis possible, nay, probable, that they have gleaned truths unattainable by Eorzea or her Far Eastern allies.
They do, in fact, appear to have a strategy in mind, though it will require further research. To that end, they have requested an introduction to a capable warrior shielded by the blessing of light.
Assuming we divide our forces to pursue both of Kral's lines of inquiry, then having you join the group heading to Thavnair would seem the obvious choice. But the investigation in Charlian is of vital importance as well. Equal, I think, to the Thavnarian one, given that the fate of the world may hinge on the results of both.
Yes, it is quite the quandary. Though it is a great imposition and an altogether too common one, our efforts would be more likely to succeed were you to lead the charge on both fronts. You are indeed our champion. As to which task to tackle first, we will defer to your decision. Let us next decide how everyone else might best be assigned. As for myself, I shall continue what I've begun in Charlian. I should also like to steal the services of an Archon or two.
And thereby gain access to a greater range of reading material. I will help with that.
Allow me to offer my assistance. I have some small amount of experience in the field of research.
Alize and I would also like to help, if you would have us.
Anything to understand even a fraction of what our father and the Forum might be thinking.
Of course, the more the merrier.
Right. The rest of us will make the journey to Thavnair. Thoughts? Objections?
I passed through Thavnair on my way to infiltrate the Empire, and though I'm not qualified to give a guided tour, I did gain a sense of where things lie.
I'll be happy to have you along then. So for this group, it will be you, me, and Urianger.
Give me a moment afterwards, and I'll supply you with all the details of Nidana's request. Consider this hall our rendezvous point once our respective tasks are complete. May our investigations prove fruitful.
I want Thavnair. Tancred is eager to set forth for Thavnair. This one voice too. No, it's not. Very good. Wait, I've been kind of imprecise, I guess. It's not technically lactose. It's actually milk fats that I have digestive issues with. Which is why cheese is unfortunately something I cannot eat in large amounts. Where most milk-based products are actually largely fine. Cheese. Dot dot dot. Why dot dot dot? Trials instructions in hand. If you're ready to set out, then so are we. Having been to Thavnair before, I can travel by ether ride. But what the rest of you? Another sea void would be waste of time we do not have. Kral was of the same mind, and has already secured the aid of the good folk of the Confluence. We'll take ourselves there. The Confluence, thou sayest? I'm afraid so, my friend. Thou wilt recall the hunt for Isard, and to her sanctuary we delivered the owing to the knowledge of our comrade Moonbreeder. Moonbreeder was an authority in aetherology. In the field of study, she did embark upon the pursuit of her parents' example. Both are authorities in their own right, and both are researchers at the Confluence. Haven't you gone to see them yet? I attempted to do so earlier, but to my shame, my courage failed me at the last. As it hath for the many times I thought to reach out to them after sending that fateful letter. Neither time nor introspection have revealed unto me the words I should speak, and thus I have kept my silence. Whether you come with us or not is your choice and yours alone. If it is too difficult, we'll manage. Thou art kind to say so, but I have no intention of forsaking our cause. I shall go to the Confluence, and I shall face that which hath long been overdue. If it's settled, then let us be off. When we arrive, we should look for a researcher named Kitty. Is it Kitty? Kitte? I don't know. Boop. No, it's not. It's probably just on cooldown. It was used 26 minutes ago. I've had to put a cooldown on it, otherwise I would die of overhydration, which is a thing. You can drink too much. Well now, this is a rather lot of stern faces. Are my library books over to you again? Not all knowledge. We're associates of Krile and the students of Bardessian. We seek passage to Thavnair and understand that you can assist us. Ah, the test subjects! Welcome, welcome! Test subjects? Oh, you haven't heard? Well then, allow me to explain. So in order to travel into an aetherite, you ordinarily need to be tuned to it beforehand. Otherwise, you can't use it as a beacon to seek out while you're a mess of ether hurling along the livestream. An inconvenient but incontrovertible limitation of an etherite teleportation. But what if I were to tell you that there's a way to travel to an etherite without being attuned to it? A way to teleport instantly to places you've never been. For long years, we've labored to make such travel possible, that people might move about more freely. And finally, we've done it. We've created a new kind of etherite that doesn't require attunement. Truly, it changes everything. While my language may have been a bit misleading, the user need not attune to these etherites, but the etherites themselves must have been pre-attuned to each other, thereby facilitating travel between the 2 points. But it just so happens that one of the first test pairs of etherites has been installed here in Sharlayan, and the other over in Yalimad, at Port Town in Thavnair. As you may know, our nation has long maintained a strong tie with Razatan, and indeed we owe much of this breakthrough to the contributions of their alchemists. So to sum up, we had to test these etherites. How ferocious for you. I should mention that an accident has impaired my ability to channel ether. Will this be a problem? Not at all. As a matter of fact, you might say these etherites are made for people like your good self. The magics imbued within will whisk you away without any effort on your part. A veritable dream come true. And far be it from me to worry about such things. But do we have permission to make use of your shiny new invention? The only permission required is yours. So assuming you're willing, we're all set. It may come as a surprise, but we actually struggle to find test subjects. Most people seem to have an unreasonable fear of their souls gradually disintegrating as they drift helplessly in the livestream, in the statistically unlikely event that something goes awry. But it's plain that you aren't most people. Mistress Kryl truly knows how to pick him. If I might change the subject. Are Master Wolfson and Mistress Blowreader not present today? Oh, you didn't hear? They've recently resigned their posts. Their expertise was needed elsewhere. A large-scale project helmed at the forum itself, as I understand, but I'm not privy to the details. Test subject Monka is, yes. I see. Any other questions? Nope. Now let's get going before you change your minds. Please see to your preparations and head outside to the Etherite Plaza. I'll be along shortly. I love this guy in particular. Crystal. Yes. It is in fact made of ether. Yes. Ah. Crystal. It's so good. That animation cycle is so funny. Well, let's get yoked. It's time for one of my favorite cutscenes. It's so funny.
Right, we're all set. Just the 4 of you, was it?
3. I'm already attuned to the crystal in Thavnair.
You are? Oh. I would have preferred more test subjects. Oh, well, never mind. If our 3 travelers could line up here, please?
Sure.
Yes, right there is fine. Take a deep breath, and I'll soon have you soaring through the ether. Oh, and one last thing. You might experience a teensy-weensy touch of violent ethereal sickness. Good luck!
What?
So good. Just what? Gets yoked. The funnies. The good times. Whoop.
Thavnir, home to city-state Rads at Han. Rising from the southeast waters of the Bounty, this Isle of Plenty served as the battleground for a conflict between two peoples. Their cultures bled into one another until a unique amalgamation was distilled from the chaos, in a process not unlike their precious alchemy. Once solidified as a single nation, an adamant stance of neutrality would hold invaders at bay. For a time. Now across this vibrant isle creeps a fog of malice. What choice do you have?
F.
What chance?
And 3 down. Well.
Against such an insidious foe.
Good music.
I've seen fairer faces after a bout of bad shellfish.
Oof.
Let me bring you something to drink. That should help settle your bellies.
No, Estinian. Oh no.
There was a note with Kryle's instructions. Don't let Estinian roam the markets alone. He's alarmingly bad with coin.
So funny. You managed to will yourself to your feet, but given your condition, will you be able to reach Estinian? Okay. Estinian! Estinian! You there, I need 3 drinks. Something that helps with ether sickness. By the Mansuya, a traveller, greetings. Greetings and welcome. We are wise good sir to come to me. My special Ambra Lassi, made with only the finest and freshest ingredients, is famed for calming unruly bellies. By way of warm welcome to Thavnir, I'm pleased to offer it to you for the low price of 19,800 gil. For not 1, not 2, but 3 brothels, a bargain amongst bargains. The price is high road robbery. I want to say too much to Sinian, but he realized any words of warning he cried would be accompanied by your last meal. You must stand before Stinian using gestures. Deny that the deal is fair. Deny! No, Estinian, do not! I thought you could barely stand. What do you need to tell me that is so urgent? But it shouldn't by the lassie. The merchant is swindling me. Ah! Oh, serious apologies, sir. I paid off. My price is confused. Is that 1,890 gil for the 3 bottles of lassie? That confusion would have been utterly costly. For both of us. Very well. Your coin. Here, a bottle for each of you. Take them to the others and get some rest. I'll be back after I've explored the town. You better watch out until I'm... You know what, I'll come back later. Tancred, Urianze, I have the drinks. Praise be to the 12. My stomach doth loosen its death grip. My heartfelt thanks to thee, Anastinian, and to the fine fruits of this land. You were in time? Excellent. You've spared us to Taurus' wrath. Sweet, sweet release. If you haven't already, you should have yours too. Right, I'm ready to get on with it. At last you truly heard wonders. Big in your feet, I see. Hi, Stinian. Thy hair. I have bonded. This is the most I could do against this heat short of shedding my armor. May I ask where you got the cord for it? A local vendor, a man said it was the Venerian weave. Thou were not tough and not easily unraveled. And how much did it cost? 9,400 gil, a steal I was told. Just nothing fancy, but I've always valued fountain of a form. That's incredible. I dare say not even Elfina could hold a candle to you. It's not uncommon for merchants to set their prices high, but doesn't it seem excessive here? I'm inclined to agree with thine assessment. It does seem excessive. Unusually so. Claiming Thavnair as its dominion, the nation of Radzatan hath long thrived as a hub of commerce. In the beginning, there were the Akasodara, the Matanga tribe indigenous to the island. Over time, they came to be joined by other races, and through the intermingling, a culture rich and distinct did emerge. From alchemy to textiles, the products of Hunnish culture have come to be celebrated and coveted the world over. A development only aided by the nation's prime location as a waypoint betwixt east and west. All of this hath combined to make a trading power of Radzatan. Yet such a status cannot be taken for granted. Nay, it must be maintained through judicious governance and stringent regulation. Words. Neither of which I see any evidence. Given that the merchants are a gateway town that are free to fleece helpless travelers and tarnish the reputation of the nation at large. Just so, that opportunistic pricing as rampant doth suggest that oversight is much weakened. Or mayhap that the people have fallen upon hard times. Whatever the truth may be, to be prudent to ascertain the current state of affairs. Prudent and practical, aye. We've naught to lose by learning more. So are we stuck at Kryle's acquaintance? Shall we see what information we could gather here in Yedlimad? Fuck. Excellent. We didn't exactly get off with a flying start, but we'll make up for it. No, not exactly a flying start. Unless you count, you know, the contents of your stomach. There we go. Right, let's split up and make inquiries in town. Rain, the pier's yours. Once we've learned what we can, we regroup by the Aetherite. Of putting to the me side of it may be. Ding. Ah, yes. Bisexual gemstones, my favorite. The crate is laden with fruits, but they are on the verge of spoiling, as if they have been left too long. Gazing out from the pier, you spy boats moored off by nearby isles. With the silhouettes of larger seafaring vessels farther away. Compared to other ports you've visited in the past, there appears to be very little activity. Now that can't be good for business, can it? What am I doing? Recording my sales. Still do daily out of habit, though I don't know why I bother. Hardly sell anything these days. Business has never been this terrible. But I suppose things could be worse. I could have a consortium to keep afloat like Khazar. In an envious position. Better to be alone in my little operation, I've come to realize. A traveller. By the looks of you. If you have a moment, perhaps you could pay Khazar a visit. He'd be glad for tidings from abroad. Like as not, you'll find him at the Saltwind sails. The harbour guild building across the water from here. Where's the last spot again? Hello? Where is there? Aha. Well now, who is a traveller? You're a rare sight in these unsettled times. People have been giving us a wide berth since that accursed tower suddenly appeared in Naruna. If it just stood there and loomed ominously, perhaps things would be fine after a fashion. But no, it had to spawn fell fiends as well. We still have our lives to thank to the Radiant Host, but business is as good as dead. What will become of us, only the gods know. The dull muskets aren't coming. Well, we already have everything they ordered. What are we supposed to do with it? I don't know, but yelling at me isn't going to help. All I know is their plans have changed, and that's all that. Look, you must have known this might happen. The Empire is at war with itself, and its provinces are in chaos. Then there's the tower sitting on our doorstep, spitting out monstrosities. The city has its defenses, but we've been afforded no protection out here. We can't blame the foreigners for not wanting to take the risk. Yeah, but this will be an enormous loss! Alright. Forget about the Damascans. Surely some ships are still coming. We have fresh produce, handicrafts, medicines. All the perennial Hunnish favorites. But our consortium works closely with the merchants and artisans to supply only the finest wares. Quality is guaranteed. I know all these things, Kalzal. I do. But, which is why I regret to say that I have nothing for you. All voyages have been cancelled or indefinitely postponed. And you are? Wait, you're a foreigner, are you not? A merchant? Please tell me you're a merchant. Sorry, adventurer. I see, that's a shame. I'm sorry, but we're discussing important matters. You need something, please talk to one of the others. Excuse me. My name is Matsuya. I'm here to see Kaza. Oh, he seems he's busy. I'll come back later then. Come on. You can't step up that tiny ledge. Yes, can I help you? I remember seeing you back at the guild. You wanted to speak with Kazal too, didn't you? I'm Matsuya, a fisherman of Akiali, near the village. I saw my catch to Kazal. He offers to foreign merchants, but he hasn't bought anything for a while now. When I heard that the consortium had been struggling, I became worried and decided to come and see him. Just as soon as he's free, anyway. He's a hard-working man, and I dare not disturb him. If I may ask, what is it that you do? An adventurer, you say? Do you travel the world helping people? Then that must mean you're great at dealing with strangers. Please, won't you teach me how to be like you? You see, I've brought some fresh fish with me, the portion I could preserve, and I wanted to sell them. The problem is I'm terrible with people. I've only ever dealt with Kazal, and I can't talk to customers without getting my trunk in a twist. So please, silly Zenmatana, will you not peddle my fish in my stead and show me how it's done? If you're willing, please let me know and we can begin at once. You'll do then? Show me how to deal with customers, and when you're dead. Right, please try peddling my fish to, shall we say, 3 people here in Yedliman. I will serve you and learn. Whee! Fish time! Hello. Yes. Greetings, friend. How fare you of late? Greetings to you. I suppose I'm well enough to, given the circumstances. Things have settled down somewhat, but it was utter chaos when that tower first appeared. They went grabbing whatever they could, trampling over each other to get to the city. Many remain here for now, but I could not stay away. Had to come back, continue with my life such as it is. Whether that was the best choice, only time will tell. Let's don't play stuck heaven, but don't do anything dangerous, eh? Oh, trust me, I don't. Make sure to keep well clear of the tower and when the monsters emerge from it, aid the Radiant host's instructions. Hope to deal with it soon so we can get back to our normal lives. The days when we could earn as much as he gave and tuck into a meal satisfied that he did good work. Speaking of meals, Wanna have some fresh fish today? Fresh fish, you say? Oh, you're a fishmonger. When you bait me like that, I'll get on a bite. Very well, give me some of your fish. Thank you for your custom. The catch of the day, Shadow's cod. Delectable steed and coconut milk, a plate with a twinkle of salt. Whee! The full-on fanfare. You sold a fish! Pog! The full-on fanfare. Oh, love it. Hello. A hawker, are you? Do you sell fruit perchance? If so, I want to buy an armor. Let's say a dozen. They don't need to be export quality. What do you need so many armor for? Why, for eating, of course. Might seem like a lot, but of late, I go through the month in no time. I'm a stock taker by trade. One with no vessels are coming these days, the wares are beginning to pile up. By the same token, nothing is coming in from overseas, but not a day goes by that someone doesn't come asking when the next shipment's arriving for this, that, and this, that. And all of all, it wears me down, and if I find myself feeling constantly hungry. I know how you feel. Thank you. I pity you don't sell fruit, but I enjoyed your little chat. Taking my mind off the troubles for a moment. Well. Never mind, if nothing else. You left it with a positive impression. Let's move into the north side of town, shall we? I think you can sell her fish, but I'm like, she wants fruit, not fish. I'm the wrong merchant. Please. Banzama. There we go. That's the pronunciation. No, it's not it. What is it, if you don't mind? I'm rather busy. Oh, gods, my stomach. Ugh. I hate the sickness. No, nothing so unusual. In my hurry to get back to work, I just ate too little, too quickly. But you should take it easier, eat more slowly and savor your food. Would that I could, but I can't afford to be idle. Like it's not, circumstances will surely get worse before they get better. And so I'm working as hard as I can, but I still can. The better to be prepared. How do you intend to prepare? My stockpiling supplies. For that I need to earn coins. I can buy food, medicine, what have you. How about some fish for your supplies? They're fresh caught. Oh, well, fish wouldn't be bad, but I don't want to go through the hassle of preserving them myself. I'd rather buy stuff that's ready to store. So I'm afraid I'll have to pass in a fish. Now if you'll excuse me, I must be getting back to work. Too bad we can make a sell, but we did manage to build something of a relationship. Thank you so much for your demonstration. It was a truly eye-opening experience. Come, let us return to the pier. It happens, Matsuya. It happens. Thank you so much for showing me how to talk to customers. You managed to sell one of the 3 people you've worked It was difficult, but when you put your mind to it, you succeeded. Though you did fail too, but there are lessons to be learned in both success and failure. By applying yours, I'll endeavor to become a better peddler. Still, there's only so much I can do alone. Hope that things will return to normal for Kazal soon. Enough, I thought I heard a familiar voice. And who should it be but Matsuya? Kazal, have you finished your business in the guild? So you were there too. Forgive me, try as I might, I can't find any buyers. With no ships coming and at hardly any going out, there simply aren't any options at this rate. So you can't buy my fish anymore? I'm sorry, Matsuya, I truly am. But for now you must peddle on your own goods. But by myself, I can't. I want to help you, I do. But as it stands, I can barely help myself. I've put my all into the consortium, and I'll be damned if I let it fall apart. I have friends and families depending on me. I can't, I won't fail them. The sisters as my business. Kazal. Not to worry. Using what I've learned from you, I'm sure I'll manage somehow. Well, I had best return to my village. My thanks again, and please take care on the road. I see you've been busy. Managed to learn a tidbit or two, I trust. I see, so we also heard that the tower is affecting many locals' livelihoods, but I think that it would be to such an extent. For another notable, if not wholly unexpected discovery, disappearances and kidnappings are just terribly commonplace. As before, the culprits are almost certainly tempered Imperial soldiers. And as before, they mean to use their faith of the hapless thralls to call forth the Lunar Primer. Business as usual for the Telophoroi. The Matsuya fellow you were helping. He's Arkasadara, is he not? Apparently, it is almost exclusively his people that are being kidnapped. Should he be travelling alone? If summoning this perpetrator's aim, it doth stand to reason that Arkasadara would be primary targets. For 'tis the faith of their ancestors which prevaileth in this land, and many a devout and errant still. We'd better go after him. Akiali lies to the west, as I recall. The same direction as Krau's acquaintance, incidentally. Not settled then. Keep your eyes peeled while we make for the village. Yes. Food. Food is good. Did not see Matsuya nearby, but the elevated ground up ahead might provide a better vantage point. You do not see Matsuya from here either. No, leave me alone. Help! Somebody help! That's his voice, and it came from the north. What am I doing? The bad rotation is bad help. Matsuya. Huh? Where did they go? Why are you here? I see you found him in time. You and your friends came to look for me. I don't know how to thank you. On my way home, I took a moment to stop and rest, think about what to do about, well, everything. And then those men came. Kidnappers. We'd heard that the Arcasadara were being targeted. Surely you have as well. Perhaps it's best if you took refuge in the city. We've considered it, me and the others. But fishing is all we know, the ocean all we have. I see. That's your decision to make, but you should take care not to travel alone. Question, if I may. A question, if I may. 'Tis our understanding that the strange fiends have emerged from the tower. What canst thou tell us of these beings? Not much, I'm afraid. I've no idea what they are. But I've heard that some bear an unsettled resemblance to divinities. For that reason, some have taken to calling the tower Zot. House of Divinities, the old tongue it means. But they're not true divinities. They're monstrous imitations that bring only death. To have one's faith so twisted is a grievous indignity, and full justified art thou in thine outrage. Know that 'tis for no other purpose but to neutralize the tower that we've journeyed to this land. In time we may be forced to contend with these false gods, and thus we would learn all we may about them. Wilt thou not tell us of thine divinities and their true nature? You've come all this way to save us. Really? To think I had you peddling fish? But to answer your question, yes, of course. We would gladly tell you about our gods. We, I say, because I'm a terrible storyteller, and I'd ask my fellow villagers to do it. So please come to a village. We are good at gods-feeding folk, all of us, and and we'd be honored to share our knowledge and fish. What sayest thou? Shall we pay a visit to Akiali? That's not Orion J voice. Orion J voice is really hard. I cannot get into Orion J voice. Wonderful. Just follow the road west on the hill. You can't miss it. So, 'tis the simulacra of Tavernarian gods being summoned. If any doubt existed before, there can be none now. The kidnapped Hanish are imprisoned in the tower. I pray that we will be able to save them. No, do not skip cutscene. No. Tough indeed. Saving them will mean confronting the false gods, like as not. Aye, as you said, we do well to study their religious traditions. To Akiali. Just burn everything. Burn! Murder! The voice crack, holy shit. Now, Orion J's voice is just... It is so removed from my voice. He's like... At the same time dignified and, like, controlled. While also being incredibly stern. It's so hard to do his voice. I've not once done it correctly in my life. Welcome to Kiali, my friend. The name means White Beach, and there isn't much to say if that. So please make yourself at home. Your companions have already begun talking to everyone. Feel free to show yourself around to do the same. Any of us can tell you about our gods, but you could do worse than to start with Kanga and the old House Veda. They are free at the moment, as it happens. You want to know about our gods? What a curious visitor you are. Most want fish in any case. I'm happy to oblige. Now I don't know how it is once you hail, but your isle is home to many gods. They can't be divided into groups. The Manusia, beings of wisdom who assume the form of men, and the Murga, beings of might who assume the form of beasts. Together they are divinities, their forms and personalities many and varied. Some are kind and gentle, others stern and temperamental, just like we mortals can be. All are possessed of great insight and experience. By heeding their teachings, we strive to be better people and live better lives. Become God, become God. Do you mean become as gods, like Nier Automata? Is that the reference you're making? Interested in learning about our gods, you say? That's what I like to hear. Prick up your ears, then, and listen. In ancient times, the Manusia and Murga deities who look like man and beast, respectively, were locked in conflict. Eventually, seeking the wisdom of the Manusia and the Murga, cast aside their own heads and took up those of their foes. Likewise, the Manusia coveted the might of the Murga, and so they too resolved to trade heads. Thus were born the new gods, possessed of both might and wisdom, and they ushered in an age of harmony between the two factions. From then on, as a sign of their esteem for one another, the Manusia have worn animal faces, and the Murga the limbs of men. There you are, and a thing or two about our gods, I trust. While you were off taken to the others, I remembered something that may be of interest. If you could let your friends know, I'll go fetch it from my home at once. Apologies for the wait. I wish to show you this hanging scroll which depicts 3 of our most revered deities. By all means, you should like to see it. By all means, we should like to see it. That's more like... They are Manusia. You heard about them already, yes? 3 sisters. The center one is the eldest. Cinderuva, the goddess of wisdom, for this alchemist holds her in the highest. To her right is the middle sister, Sanduruva, a goddess of wealth. She counts many traders among her followers. And the one on the left is Minduruva, the youngest sibling. She presides over the crafts and so is beloved by weavers, although each is worshipped for different reasons. The sisters are usually portrayed together in these works, which keep in their homes for good fortune. Like fashion to the Manusia, the deities of Eorzea preside over myriad aspects of life. And what of the Murga, if I may ask? Murga hold power over nature. In ages past, they were revered as guardian deities in times of conflict. If you have occasion to visit temples and ruins, you'll find their images there. Among them is a god who possesses a Gaja's head, and he venerates as the progenitor of the Arcasadara. And then there are dragons, They occupy a special place in history. You worship dragons too? It's said that an ancestor of the satrap, that's the ruler of Razatan, forged a covenant with a dragon divinity in ancient times. This divinity has since acted as the guardian deity of the satrap. Legend holds that if ever the satrap is in need, his dragon ally will fly to his aid. Dragon ally. Dragon ally. Metal Gear. You claim to be a terrible storyteller, but nothing could be further from the truth. The passion you bear for your faith is plain to hear. I'm confident that the information you've given us will serve us well in your efforts to deal with the tower. That is very kind of you to say. Thank you. I will pray for your success. Right, I believe it's time we sort out the Krau's acquaintance. An alchemist by the name of Nidana. According to Krau's notes, we are to find her at the palace called the Great Work, further north alongside the coast. Did you say you're going to see Nidana? Oh, how I envy you. She's brilliant and beautiful, kind and understanding. And did I say she's beautiful? I could stare at her dainty eyes and adorable trunk all day. Oh, those eyes, when you meet her. Take care you don't drown in them. Ah, he's in love. How cute. I have to say though, Nidana is probably my favorite NPC, like, side character. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, she's not, like, a bystander, but she's very rarely in the story. I don't know, like, if there's a, like, actual term for it. Like, scientific term. Yes. Oh no, right, this scene! I just remembered, like, I came in here, saw everyone on the ground, and then the memory of the next cutscene came flooding into my mind. It's like, oh no, oh right! It's so good, it's so funny. You say?
What happened here?
No, the cake W is out of order.
Their dress marks them as alchemists. I see no evidence of injury or poison.
Are you out of cake W points?
Thinkest thou they but
Oh
slumber?
no.
I believe so. Whether it is by choice is another question entirely.
Ah, yes.
We have guests.
The best boy. I love that he has an accent.
You must
in English.
excuse the poor welcome. Long days and longer nights have taken their toll, as you can see.
I'm so sad NPCs never have strong accents in German if they are important characters.
I am Vashan, servant to the satrap. My task was, in fact, to wake these good men and women, if you will allow.
Of course.
People of the great work, I come bearing new scales.
Scales? We have new scales?
Yes, my friends. Gather round. I have them right here.
Oh, happy day. Now I can continue my experiment.
Many thanks.
One for
So
me.
good.
Those are dragon scales.
Yes, such materials are vital to their most pressing research.
And we are fortunate to have them. Our experiments are so close to bearing fruit. Soon we will have a talisman capable of nullifying the etheric emissions from that accursed tower. Did I say something wrong? Are you not here with Varshan? Wait, who are you people?
She's so good.
Of course! You're the one Kryl sent. The warrior of light we've been waiting for.
Ah, this is a day of celebration. Praise be to Cinderova!
The winds have shifted. I feel it. The end to our toil is near.
I feel it too. My head hasn't been this clear in days.
That's a strong accent, my guy.
How did you acquire those scales?
Curious that it concerns you so. But worry not. They were freely given by the dragon with whom our satrap has forged a lawful pact.
He knows.
That is well.
You must be quite familiar with Dragonkin, yes?
Oh no.
Is this their congealed blood I see on your weapon?
Speaking of dragon blood, you yourself have been infused with it, have you not? I should like to draw a file or two, if so. Now, see here. Come along, come along. I must insist that you visit our laboratory.
I know why. This is the second time I'm here, after all.
Oh dear, your poor companion. What with the new scales and your timely arrival, my colleagues are a little giddy with excitement.
He's dead. Rip
No harm will
Estinian.
come to him, I promise. Meanwhile, shall we find a quiet place to talk? As you may have guessed, I am Nidana, the alchemist who sent the request to your mistress Kryl. We have workshops across the nation collaborating on this research project. But it is here, at the Great Work, where I collate our results. Come with me, all of you, and I can explain the crux of the situation.
Da 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 da. Allow me to thank you for answering our call. Many towers have appeared around the world, and we are grateful that you would assist us with ours. Well, Kryl herself is tied up with another investigation. Ren is an eminently capable substitute and will spare no effort to aid you. So if I understand correctly, you seek to make talismans that can nullify etheric emissions. Indeed we do. As you know, the tower emits a vast concentration of ether. One cannot go anywhere near it without being tempered. As such, we can only study the tower from afar, and are powerless to deal with it in any consequential way. In order to strike back, the satrap bade us alchemists create enchanted talismans. Talismans that will allow our soldiers to venture into the tower, even should they lack innate protection. Could such a thing be possible? Admittedly, we are still in the midst of testing, but we are quite confident. Even prior to this, our people have long pursued countermeasures against the etheric corruption of primals. Of the methods tested to date, those utilizing dragon scales proved the most promising. Owing to the etheric density, the scales are highly resistant to disruptive forces. The mightier the dragon, the greater the resistance. We seek to amplify this protective property through alchemy. Thanks to the scales provided by His Excellency, we've been able to make steady progress with the talismans. Soon we will be ready to conduct a field test, and here's where you and your blessing of light come in. Whatever it is, just leave it to me. Thank you, lest you wonder. We ask only that you serve as an escort. I'll explain in greater detail later, but you will be venturing to the tower's field of influence. And so, for your own safety, I would first test how well your blessing shields you with your permission, of course. In that case, Ori and Janda will find other ways to make yourselves useful. Seeing as you all work to the point of collapse, I suspect you could do with more hands. We would be grateful for any assistance you can provide. If you're ready, then let us put up your blessing to the proof. If you exit the Great Work and turn south, there will be a hill to the right. We'll meet you at the top after seeing to some preparations. Oh gosh, not being able to fly here is pain. I think up here? This is the part with the lantern, isn't it? I think I played this the other way around on my main account, because I wanted to go to Labyrinth House first. I hope you didn't have trouble finding this place, or climb the hill. Not all accustomed to the physical strain. I give you the fruit of a sweat, tears, and many sleepless night. The drunken Deepa. The Deepa is a lantern presented to the gods as an offering. Taking inspiration from tradition, we created this device to test the talisman's efficacy. Upon activation, move a certain distance before emitting a powerful blast of ether. In lieu of corruption, thus lacking sufficient protection, will experience severe ether sickness. For your test, you will be exposed to 4 times. That should be enough to ascertain your blessing's protective capability. Please begin whenever you're ready. I shall be observing from a safe distance. Commencing etheric exposure testing. Repeat, commencing etheric exposure testing. Retreat to a safe distance if you are not the subject. This thing is so cute. I want this. Is this available as a pet? Because I don't think if it is that I found it. It is so adorable. Small lantern. Readying ether. Please stand back. I'm not standing back. I am just kind of here. Or maybe I will stand back? I don't know. Ah, there we go. Discharging ether. You're struck by a powerful blast of ether, but no ill effects. Subject has no irrepressible urge to empty their stomach. Confirmed. Resuming test. Please follow. No, I do not need to vomit, thank you. I'm quite okay. Maybe if you have all areas to Fate level 3, you can buy it from the shop or something. If it is somewhere. That's where they might have put it. It's kind of weird dance you have to do with it. You're struck by powerful blast of ether, but suffer no ill effects. Subject stomach and bowel integrity holding. Confirmed. Resuming test. Please follow. I don't know why it has us kind of go in this wild goose chase. Oh no, there's a hunt train in this area right now. Aboard! Welcome aboard the UU Express. We'll be departing in 5 minutes and we'll be going fast. Very good. UU. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't have any of the areas at Fate level 3, I think. So I have no idea what's in the stores. I don't know. You're struck by yet another powerful blast of ether, but suffer no ill effects. The blessing of light appears to be keeping you safe from harm. Subject fortitude rated impressive. No irregularities confirmed. Resuming test. Please follow. Brace for final discharge. This is kind of weird. Like, it tracks your position relative to it to go into this phase, but then you need to leave so it can spawn this thing. Someone had issues developing this part of the quest, I think. You're struck by the strongest blast of ether yet, but survived completely unscathed. A 3-week exposure testing concluded. Please collect and deliver me to the supervising alchemist. Congratulations on retaining your composure and your humors. Oof. Yes, my stomach fluids are still there. You are right. Ah, you've returned, and not on your knees. Promising sign, but come, let me take a deep off your hands. Thank you, I shall replenish its ether for when we test the talisman. So no dizziness or nausea for anything of the sort. You're feeling perfectly fine. The strength of your blessing is beyond doubt. There's no risk that the tower will corrupt your ether. For this, we can request your aid for the task ahead with your easy hearts. You're a capable warrior too, are you not? Would you be amenable to assist me with another errand? You see, our talisman requires the use of a special ink, and we've exhausted our stores of a key ingredient for it. Spirit weed. The herb grows not far from here, and I would like you to harvest some. With the recent spate of kidnappings, however, we Argasadara travel alone at our peril. You will not come with me as an escort. You will compensate you for your troubles, of course. I'm in your debt. Without further ado, let us head to Kadja for footsteps. It's situated on the road which runs east for your Earth the Great Work. I may simply be mentioning it, but I feel as though we're being followed. Look on rain! Die. I mean, oh no! The Imperials, I'm so sorry for your loss. Murder. Murder. Not dead. Easy. Gods, that gave me a fright. To think that the moment I ventured outside the safety of the work. I think the sisters are asked you to come with me. You are alright, I hope. Good, good. Let's continue on then. It isn't far now. Just through these pillars and up the rise. And here we are. Kajaya's footsteps. Kajaya was a great dancer, and those who follow in her, well, you know, they come to this place to train and dedicate their dance to their ancestors. A happy benefit of this is that spirit wheat grows here in abundance. We will set about harvesting at once. If you would be so good as to stand guard. The kidnappers aren't like to return soon, but better safe than sorry. Pisaka. Boop.
Yes, that would be Radzad Khan. Hardly anyone has been allowed in or out since our troubles with the tower began. The faithful citizens huddle inside the city walls, and commerce has all but ground to a standstill. I pity the satrap, the trials he must be facing.
What can you tell me of the satrap?
Well, he is the most important person in Radzad Khan. Long ago, this island was home to two tribes of Matanga, the Gajasura and the Arkasodra. When the Aura came to these shores, it was the Arkasodra with whom they joined forces. Together they defeated the warlike Gajasura, forcing them to flee Thavnair altogether. Peace and prosperity reigned for a time, until a clan of Hjor from the mainland decided they wanted the island for themselves. It was a direct ancestor of the present satrap who arbitrated that conflict and welded the warring factions into the nation we know today. And ever since, a member of that esteemed lineage has inherited this somewhat unique position. You see, by and large, the state is run by the people, but when problems arise, it is the satrap who mediates a solution. The stability provided by the satrap is what has allowed Radzad Khan to thrive all these years. And it was the satrap himself who entrusted us with this duty. We will not fail him, nor our countrymen.
What is the delay with the vessel? I told you I need to adjust those ratios.
Oh look,
I've
it's
come
Fuckface
all this
McGee.
way to admire one of my splendid towers, and what do I find? Fools attempting to ward off its tempering influence with magic trinkets. I seem to recall a similar experiment in ages past. What was that man's name? Oh, something. Owen? Another body, another time. Who could be expected to remember every trivial detail? Allowing them to construct such handy talismans would be counterproductive to my plans. And yet, I find myself deathly curious. How will they manage this feat with the limited knowledge and resources at their disposal?
How indeed.
Complications be damned, for we cannot escape the nature of our souls. And I, as ever, am my own worst enemy.
Oh, you got done with the crystal crafter tools yesterday. Nice. The gathering tools will take a while, but they'll ultimately be less resource intensive. Just a lot of time. Which is why I generally prefer the gatherer tools over the crafter tools. You don't need to, like, spend any gathering resources on anything. You got to bed at 12:30 AM. That's... Wait, fuck. So that's midnight. Right? This is what that would be. Yeah, okay. I hate AM PM time because it's 12, 1, 2, 3, da 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 da. And not... It doesn't start counting with 1, it starts counting with 12. 12 AM is midnight, 12 PM is noon, which just, it messes up my brain. It makes sense because 12 AM, 12 before morning, midnight is before morning, 12:01 is before morning. And then 12:01 PM would be after noon. You know? Before noon, afternoon, AM, PM. It makes sense. I still don't like it. Hold on. Need a sec. Yes, okay. Okay, no one's logged in there. Perfect. There we go. Had to do a thing. Sorry about that. Have enough spirit week to last us a good while. Thank you for keeping watch. Let us head back to the great work, shall we? But yeah, so, AM PM. I personally prefer 24-hour time. In writing. It's just way less confusing. Because there's no, like, you don't need to think. There's 24 of them in a day. You're telling me how many have passed. And that's that. It's, well, there's a personal preference. Like, you could use whatever. I'm able to convert, usually. Just the 12s are confusing as fuck. Well, then of course in English I can't use 24-hour time because telling someone I want to meet at 18 o'clock kind of sounds off in English. I would have to say 6 p.m. But it's English. English is weird. I blame England. Rain, my thanks again for your assistance. With your help, we are that little bit closer to completing our talisman. This isn't much, but please accept it as a token of my gratitude. If you will excuse me, I shall return to my work on the talisman. Ah, you're both back. Excellent. That is not the I have a message for you, Mistress Nidana. It would seem the stars of Giant Skull are running low. What? But when I last looked, there was still plenty. I suspect that it was before Urianger told everyone about the tempering cure. As Tinian shared his knowledge of dragons. Your peers have since been inspired to fashion a number of new talisman prototypes. I see. Well, if it leads to new possibilities, then far be it for me to complain. But we'll need to replenish our stores. I should be happy to tend to this if you like. As much as I appreciate the offer, my dear boy, I can in good conscience send you out there alone with kidnappers at large. Rain, loath I am to press another task on you too soon. Might I ask you to fetch the Giant Skull? In case you're not familiar, Giant Skull is a type of ore found on the island. Owing to its hardness and ethereal conductivity, it has applications in many disciplines, alchemy not least of all. The quarry where it's found, aptly named Giant Skull Grounds, is not far away, so it shouldn't take much of your time. Or you impose on you once more. Yeah, okay. I'll do it. Thank you. Upon arriving at the grounds, please seek out a man named Zenua. He will furnish you with the ore. At the very least, permit me to accompany you. It so happens I have an errand of my own that will take me to the outpost nearby. Maybe you borrow a pair of Hamsa, Mistress Nidana? By all means. Do try to be patient with them. Those who have survived are still in training. I will bring the Hamsa to the entrance. Meet me there when you're ready. Oops. Bashan. Here are Hamsa, Rain. If the creatures look familiar, it's because they are closer kin to your Eosian dodos. Hamsa have long been kept as livestock in Tavernea, and many a hatchery may be found here. and as the largest of those was recently raised by monsters from the tower. On account of said hatchery being situated near the tower, the Radiant Host repurposed its remnants as an outpost. That is where my errand takes me, and your own destination is but a stone's throw away. If you have no restrictions, let us first make for the outpost. We set forth at your word. You are ready? Then let us depart. You need only ride and relax. My bird and I will take the lead for yours to follow. Let us be off. You haven't ridden Dodas before. Be warned that they will wobbling gait. Do we have it off? I have it off. That spectacular formation, switching over the water, is called Khadga. The word means sword. This sword, legend holds, was wielded by the Manusia against the Murga before it was cast down at conflict's end. Ooh. Interesting. To the left, and requiring no introduction, is the tower. As you can see, it straddles a small isle. Almost there. The main part of the hatchery is atop the cliff, up at the surface of the beach. Ah, whoops. Dodo riding. It's such a fun animation. And here we are, manned by the Radiant Host. This outpost is the first line of defense against the tower. Well, well, who should visit but a young Varshan? On an errand for the satrap? I am. His Excellency bade me come to collect your report. He also wished to express his heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women of the Radiant Host for their unflagging dedication. We simply do our duty, but we are honored to receive His Excellency's regard. And yet, for his boundless benevolence, his treatment of one so young could be regarded as callous. Though we've enjoyed relative peace and calm these past 2 days, that remains the front line of battle. No place for children. Your predecessor too often traveled alone. It's been, what, 2 years now since you took over? I wonder how your fellow is faring. Like those before him, he went on to represent the satrap in foreign lands. Where he may now be, I'm certain he's well. As for myself, I assure you that all I do of my own volition. Gladly, I pray you do not think ill of His Excellency. Certainly not, lad. Whatever happens, my faith in the satrap is unwavering, but I still worry for you. You would be overcome with sadness if something were to befall you, for you are as a little brother to us. Take care, do you hear? I will, Nabdeen. Thank you. And who might this be? Not Hanish by the look of him. Permit me to introduce Rain Umbria of the Eorzean contingent, come to assist in the making of the talisman. From Eorzea, you say? Towers have appeared all over there too, yes? Tell me, what's the situation like? I suggest that you exchange information with our soldiers. Both parties would stand to learn something of value, I believe. No problem. An excellent idea, given the unprecedented nature of the threat. Some of ours are understandably anxious. You would be glad for any tidings you can share. You too, bring Varshan the latest report, and answer any questions you may have. Ah, the robe's fine. Ah, I've read about you. The visitor from Eorzea. Is there anything you can tell us about the Telophoroi? We know that they are the ones behind the tower. They've declared war on the whole world. But why are they doing this? What is it they want? This we don't understand. What? They want to die and take everyone with them? What madness is this? Well, you can bet we won't let those bastards have their way. We'll fight them with everything we have. Like our Eorzean and Far Eastern brothers. You wish to know about the tower? To be honest, we know little and less about it ourselves. This Tower of Zot, as folk have taken to calling it, suddenly appeared where it did at the Isle of Naruner. We safe from its influence at this distance, but go too far into the water and you'll expose yourself to its corrupting ether. You're a foreigner, aren't you? How are they dealing with the tower in your homeland? Our struggles are not unique. Then our hopes still lie with the talismans. We must keep the monsters contained until they're ready. It occurs to me I've yet to properly introduce our company. We are the Radiant Host, military order under the Satrap's command. Our duty is to preserve peace in the land, be it patrolling the streets or dealing with heretofore unknown threats such as now. We trained hard and admit only capable warriors to our ranks. Even so, we've struggled to contend with the fiends of the tower. Though we succeed in striking them down on 2 occasions, they came in force. We had to pay a heavy price. What of the towers in Eorzea? Do they likewise spawn monsters? So it's much the same everywhere. With every nation struggling, we cannot expect calls for outside aid to be answered. FF4 flashbacks? This entire expansion is FF4 flashbacks. It doesn't stop here. There's so much FF4 in this expansion. Holy shit. This tower, the other tower, all of the patch content. Finished speaking with the soldiers, have you? Hope it was an enlightening for you as it was for them. As a neutral nation and trading hub both, Rodzatan ordinarily receives a steady stream of news from abroad. Alas, the stream dried up when trading vessels stopped coming. Amidst the death of invasion, everyone will have been grateful for your account. Little fanboy is crying, ah. But come, you'd best see your original errand, as mine will keep me here a while longer. However, I'm afraid I cannot guide you the rest of the way. Were not the path is straightforward, you need but follow the road east. Upon the Hamsa, you will arrive before you know it. Brief though it was, I enjoyed your time together. Till we meet again. Bed! This is the perfect music for this mount. So I got the recent level up by the moon bunnies. I got the battle theme from FF4. Nice. Which one? There's a couple. At least two. Aye, this is indeed the Giant Skull Grounds, and I'm Senua. Zenua, is there something you require? Ah, yes. Giant skull for the alchemists, you say? But of course they shall have it. They labor tirelessly to deal with the tower, and 'tis the least we can do to provide them with the materials they need. What is this name? Words I'm using? Here you are, a sack of a purest giant skull. We always set some aside for our alchemist friends. When you deliver it, let the good folk of the great work know that we are grateful for their efforts. If they need more, they need but ask. The normal battle theme. So battle 1. Not battle 2. Because battle 2 is also excellent music. And that's battle 2, but it's excellent music. I don't know what Nobuo was thinking when he wrote the FF4 battle music, but it was probably something along the lines of jazz. Jazz good. Ah, welcome back, Rain. I hope you have the giant skull. I do. Oh my, such fine specimens. Thank you so much for bringing these. We now have everything we need to make our next prototype, and that should be capable of passing our most rigorous tests. When it is ready, it will be time for the true test. So please, take your ease while you can.
I see our taskmasters have allowed you a moment's respite as well.
The song.
You have to hand it to these alchemists. They are determined to see this endeavor of theirs succeed. I've never been one for blind optimism, but I sincerely get the sense they're close to a breakthrough.
They had better be, or all this effort was for naught.
The peoples of Eorzea, of the Far East, of Thavner, children of this star united in common cause against a dire threat. Yet ere they succumbed to suicidal madness, were not the Telophoroi born of her body as were we? They who cling to life and the promise of the morrow's dawn, against they who desire death and an ending of their own orchestration. The victors of this war alone will hold the right to answer the question of existence, of its meaning, and its worth.
Poetic and ominous to a fault. That said, if it's an existential debate in nature, then our arguments might not be as persuasive as you'd think. Fandaniel wants to die and take everyone with him in an orgy of pain and suffering. An utterly vile and unforgivable idea. And yet, when spat upon by fate and wailing in the deepest pit of despair, who among us can say they have not entertained
Among Us?
There are nights black as pitch, bereft of hope, and no words of comfort can reach you. And it's all you can do to grit your teeth and choke back the bile.
The more you see and suffer life's injustices, the more difficult they become to bear. Vengeance is nurtured in similar soil. Though your anger has a broader focus, the sentiment is much the same. A fervent desire to destroy others, to see them drown in torment, as you have.
That about sums it up. The will to endure is not always as strong as the urge to burn it all down and salt the earth. Survival be damned. It's a struggle, often close and brutal.
Indeed. Well, I, for one, shall pray survival proveth more appealing in the end.
As will I. Besides, our chances are much improved when we've the company of others committed to the cause of life. Our vengeful dragoon here is proof of that.
There he is. The bastard! Run!
What is it? What did you see? Fandaniel, are you sure? If he knows we've been working on a countermeasure.
It holds. The vessel holds! This is the one!
At long last! Look! We have finally created a talisman strong enough to withstand our experiments! We've named it a warding scale for the time being. With this in your possession, your soul should be completely shielded from corruptive ether.
Afforded such protection, any one of us may approach the towers without fear. Thou hast mine admiration. 'Tis an invention of historical significance.
I thank you for your kind words. But I would prefer you keep them unsaid until we test the talisman's efficacy in the field. It is for the next stage of our plan that we summoned you in the first place, to accompany me to the Tower of Zot. Should the scale prove effective, as I very much hope it will, then you'll have little to do. But should the effect be weaker than anticipated, I must ask that you restrain me, or knock me senseless.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Either way, we are fortunate to have you with us.
Nidana, are you certain you wish to do this?
If others are to trust our creations, then we must have faith in them first. And as the senior researcher, it falls to me to lead by example. But should I fail to return, then learn what you can from this attempt and apply it to the next. Our work must continue. Is that clear?
We'll keep an eye on the place while you're away. Assuming Fandaniel is lurking about, there's no telling what mischief he has in mind for us, or you. Be on your guard.
Shall we be on our way? I'll have one of the soldiers at the hatchery prepare us a boat, and we can set out from the northern shore. I'll see you there.
This writing theme is ridiculous. They all have this now? Hold on. Oh no, this one's still the old one. What about the falcon? Nope, still the old one. Ha! Oh, excuse me. So mounts added this expansion have the new writing theme. I actually kinda like it. Gotta admit. This mount music is very nice. It has something... this is really stupid to say. Like, this is going to sound really dumb. But it has something very Final Fantasy to it, to hear this mount music. Which, like, duh. But, you know... like, distinctly... Final Fantasy, like, overworld map theme. This is a rather finer boat than I'd expected, but I won't complain. All that remains is to board and be on our way. Oh, and if I should become corrupted, do not stay your hand. Of course, I pray it does not come to that, but you must protect yourself. Other alchemists can fulfill my role, but you and your blessing are one of a kind, and perhaps your only hope in toppling this tower. For all our sakes, do not hesitate to do what must be done, whatever that may be. Well, the longer I draw this out, the more nervous I become. Let's be off.
We should soon cross the threshold of the tower's influence. Any moment now. It's working!
Barrier!
And you are still yourself? Then I'd like to see how it fares closer to the tower if we could.
The design of these towers is so cool.
So far, so good. The scale's protection appears to be holding. If we can just make it to the tower's entrance. A few more steps. Praise
I
be
wouldn't
to
go
the
near it,
sisters,
it's
we've
open.
made it. And the scale has proven itself to be everything we hoped it would be. Now we can focus on production. Once we've equipped and returned with an entire survey team, this menace will soon give up its secrets. What?
Welp! I said you shouldn't be so close to it, it's open. Ah, well fuck. In we go. Hiya. So many of them. Yep, that is now. That is already.
Oh, let me go! Oh, let me go! Oh!
Oh, do calm down. You'll only hurt yourself thrashing about like that.
Stop! Oh, you can't do this! Please!
Stop! Ah, fuck. I gotta get out of there.
A little late for heroics, I'm afraid. The similarities are striking. My! Such hostility! Never before has my artistry so displeased. My patrons of old would have positively squealed in delight, though, between you and me, I find gushing praise exhausting.
What are you talking about? Burn his body.
Allow me to tell you a story. Surely you've yet to hear the one about Fandaniel, the sundered Ascian. I inherited the position and the soul of the Fandaniel who sat on the convocation in the time of the final days, theoretically speaking. Practically speaking, that fact is of no consequence. I was born and lived as, well, me. Eventually, I was recruited into the Ascians and imbued with the former Fandaniel's knowledge and memories, but I never felt that they were truly a part of who I am. How to explain? Perhaps if I told you who I was before my Ascian embrace, although that chapter too is a past I've long since discarded. I have it on good authority you've poked your nose into an Allegan ruin or two. Yes?
There's only one Allegan who is into
Then I
theater
accept you
this
heard
much.
the old me.
At your service.
The fucker.
Imagine a nation of unbridled prosperity.
No.
Every need met. Day after day of unbroken, unshakable peace. Existence fulfilled.
Sure, for you maybe.
And ripe for decay.
You are a genius without peer, Amon. However do you conceive of such delightful experiments? That fool was beside himself with panic when he awoke with the head of a bull. Even his cries for help emerged as so much guttural lowing. Oh, the memory of it. My poor sides. My friends and I were so consumed by laughter we struggled to breathe.
No more than entertainment for bored wastrels ignorant of its worth. My all-consuming work. But it was not their only indulgence. For they were ever hungry for stimulation. Slaves to the slightest hint that amusement was afoot. Our nation was ailing, but I would see the poison purged. I resurrected a legend, our first and greatest emperor.
You sure did.
And just as I had planned, he set our wayward empire back on the path of conquest. An inexhaustible ambition carried us onwards, always onwards. Yet, he who delivered to us such glory was not to be satisfied.
Heed me, Amon. No matter how vast one's empire, or full one's treasure vault, all is rendered meaningless by death. In the end, all is lost.
You know as well as I that the Emperor stands to lose this war, and so I have come to claim you. For while your methods leave something to be desired, we cannot deny the results of your work. And as fortune would have it, the seat of Fandaniel, your rightful seat, lies vacant and waiting. Take your place amongst your peers, rather than die a pointless death amidst the ashes of your doomed nation. Send one of your clones to the Crystal Tower that you might see for yourself. See what lies ahead. The fall of the Empire affirmed the truth, majestic and tragic, as the Emperor foresaw. Scheme as you like, build as you will, nothing endures. What is life but a brief jaunt ending in emptiness?
Well, nice to meet you, I guess.
So easily distracted. Why, I almost left without saying farewell. As for your friend, you needn't worry. These pawns are far more useful to me alive as fuel for the primals. If you attempt to pull them free, they will die. So, enjoy tackling that conundrum with your comrades. We shall meet again! Not in one of these minor spires, oh no, but somewhere more suitably grandiose. Your favorite playmate is ever so eager to see you.
He sure is. I'll get you out of here. Promise. You're returned, but where's Mistress Nidana? Well, we have a problem. So the solution, we summon Dala to break the building. Yeah, just break the tower. That would be my solution. Just how do we do that? When used to preserve. Just when we had succeeded in making the talisman. I must report this at once. Meanwhile, please return to the Great Work. I keep reading the Great Walk. I forgot, oh no. I forgot to tune. I'm an idiot. Something's gone awry, isn't it? What happened? So it was for Daniel after all. The damn bastard. I'm sure you wanted to do more, but you were right to return here first. You must treat warily, lest we endanger Nidana and the other captives. First, you must inform everyone of the situation. Nidana's colleagues included. I'll call them together for gathering, but I think it would be best if you were one of the one to explain. Everyone, we have an issue. The issue is that damned tower. Oh, Nidana. Can you answer me this? Though Nidana is trapped in the tower. She's still alive, yes. Then we must make the warring scales, as many as we can. The prototype works perfectly. This Nidana proved at peril to herself. So let us make more scales, that she and all of those who were taken might be saved. Aye, as alchemists, this is how we will win the fight. My friends, the satrap has been made aware of the tragedy. He offers his heartfelt condolences and reiterates his pledge to provide you with all that you require. To that end, he bade me give you his link pearl, that he might personally discuss the production of these rolling scales with you. And for our Ozian visitors, I bear an invitation. In her report, Mistress Nidana noted your vital contributions to the talisman's creation. This fact came to the satrap's attention. In recognition of your deeds, he wishes to meet you. In addition to thanking you in person, he would also discuss further avenues of collaboration. And so, if it is agreeable, will you not accompany me to Radzatan for an audience with His Excellency? We should be honored, of course. Closer cooperation between our lands can only be the benefit of all. Then it's settled. Please come to the gates of east of the Giant Skull grounds. We will show you the city. Coincidentally, I am very closely acquainted with how an Indian accent sounds. Because I actually have 2 Indian co-workers who don't speak German, so we communicate exclusively in English. And I can tell you that I suck at accents and cannot do it. I'm just very bad at accents. Maybe someday, if I have enough spare time and spare funds, I guess, I'll do like vocal coaching for voice acting. Maybe. Maybe I will. Who knows? Ooh! Ether current. Ib. Yes. Once I'm done with this, I need to just go off screen and collect all the ether currents. That are just on the overworld, because that'll take a cool few hours, which you don't need to stream. See, I actually don't. I've never had this problem on my main account because I've never had so many ether currents that I missed during my regular playthrough that I've had to go and actually collect them. But I've been cutting corners. It also helps that I've started playing before ether currents were a thing, so that kind of helps too. So I've only had to collect them in very short bursts so far, not all at once in the entire game. All present, and let us proceed. Owing to the threat of the tower, the city is currently in a state of high alert, and strict restrictions are in place for entry. Though you have been granted special permission, I ask that you remain closer to me at all times. Oh no, close to Varshan. How will I ever survive being close to a person?
A vast rock squats upon Thavnair, and to its stony surface clings the city of Radz-at-Han. Ye who enter here are subject to the scrutiny of gods, the gate's most watchful eye. The orb which beholdeth the truth of all things.
Orb.
Pass beneath its hot and piercing gaze, bearing down like a second midday sun. The fragrant haze, a mixture of sweet incense and acrid smoke, The cries of merchants mingled here with lively melodies accented by dancers' feet.
I love that it's night. What are all these people doing up?
By vivid sound and colors were once swallowed up by patchwork streets. But no such scenes to savor now. To what somber present does that divine eye bear witness?
Here we are. Megaduta.
Megaduta. Ultra Duda. Omega Duda.
It seems a shame to bring you here directly. Under normal circumstances, it would have been my pleasure to show you the sights.
And it would have been our pleasure to see them. Alas, it seems our tour of the city will have to wait.
Seems like it.
I'm afraid so. Come, we should head inside.
I'm ready to be fully railroaded into the building by the cutscene. I think you actually don't get to go anywhere on this visit. You just cutscened in, talk to the person, and then get cutscened out again.
Your Excellency, may I present our honored visitors?
Ah, splendid. Most splendid. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Ahawan, Satrap of Radzat-Han. Our alchemists tell me your assistance was invaluable in the creation of the warding scale. Such deeds ought to be recognized in person. Thus did I have young Varshan convey you here forthwith. On behalf of my people, may I express to you our sincere gratitude.
But Ndana, she was taken. I couldn't prevent it.
A regrettable incident indeed. Her colleagues insist that we honor her wishes and trust in the talisman, that it will be instrumental in saving Ndana and the others. I am eager to hear your opinion on the matter, so let us not stand on ceremony. Come, sit.
I think not. This charade has gone on long enough. Show yourself.
Forgive me, but were you expecting musicians, perhaps? There are no performers waiting in the wings at present, but arrangements could be made if you'd prefer.
Nay, he hath the right of it. The time for artifice is past. Raise the curtain.
As you wish.
The best character.
You travel as assistants to the students of Valdesian, but you are known to me.
The music just gives it away. It's so good.
Even here have we heard of the scions of the Seventh Dawn.
Hello.
I am Vritra, and for years
Again.
counted hath this isle served as mine abode.
Vritra? Of
the first brood, sibling to Hraesvelga and Nidhogg.
Aye, mine elder brothers, of Midgard's Sorma's spawn, I was last to hatch.
Well, isn't this a surprise? We were told Rads at Han had an alliance with a dragon. Not that a great worm sat in the satrap's own hall.
A necessary subterfuge, as the true tale of our nation history illustrates most effectively. In the beginning, the rock upon which our city is built was home to Vitra, and Vitra alone. In time, the ancestors of the Matanga came to the island and established a foothold. But never did they dare disturb the worm's lair. Next to arrive were the Aura. Adopting the example of their Akasodra allies, they too treated Vitra with reverence and respect. And for many years, an understanding between our forefathers and the Great Worm endured. Until marauding heroes from the mainland came, threatening to shatter our peace and tranquility. When it seemed all would be drowned in blood, Vitra himself came forth and quelled the rising conflict. A peaceful accord was reached, and oaths sworn in Vitra's name. Thus began the dragon's governance of the fledgling state, which was to grow into Rads at Han.
But if Ritra is still here, then your position as satrap is just...
A charade, yes. And one which my family has performed faithfully for generations.
Many envy the Great Worms their power. Were it known that I ruled here, then the fires of war would burn without end. I would not be the flame which consumeth my people. Those few who join me in laying our country's foundations were, perforce, sworn to secrecy.
Your eye. It was taken.
"'Tis here, buried within the semblance of flesh. The body before thee is but a simulacrum, constructed by the finest artisans of Razatan. With mine eye nestled within, it doth serve as an inconspicuous vessel for my will."
That would explain why I felt the presence of a dragon upon our first meeting.
Yup. That would explain
I
it.
am woven with words fashioned to deceive such arcane senses. Though 'twas short-lived, it seemeth thy fusion with my brother hath left thee much altered, Estinian warm blood.
It sure seems
From
so.
the very first, we sensed the nature of one another, yet did neither one of us bare his fangs. That is all I need know of thee for now.
Orion J is just like, you knew?
Thus revealed, I have for you a proposal. Not as a worm of the first brood, but as the ruler of Rads at Han. With all haste must we take in hand the finished talismans and breach this foul spire. Thence, should it lay within our power, dispel its wicked influence. Yet even with the assurance of the warding scales, the narrow confines of the tower doth limit the size of our force.
And thus denied strength in numbers, thou must choose thy soldiers with care.
Just so. Yet though our radiant host is formidable, I see a surer path before me. Thou and thy comrades have contended with a multitude of primal beings. Most recently, thou didst cast down false gods in Paddlethan and Cartanau, I am told. 'Tis upon that strength I would call. The Scions have proven themselves the most capable, and I ask that you serve as the tip of our spear.
Gladly?
Talismans would, of course, be provided for each of thy companions. And should you agree to this undertaking, more will be provided to make use of as you see fit.
There's no denying it's a dangerous proposition, but the rewards may far outweigh the risk. Just think of what we might accomplish if we could equip all our allies with warding scales. I worry, however, that even the 4 of us may be too few for what you have in mind. Might we regroup with our friends first to discuss the matter?
'Tis no trifling task that I have laid before you. Go. Steel your hearts and hone your plans. Such time as you require shall be spent in crafting your protective charms.
It seems a quick trip back to Sharlayan is in order.
Wilt thou not lend thine aid?
Whether your request be made as a great worm or the ruler of Rads at Han, I see no reason to refuse, nor will I.
I am in thy debt.
This Tinian is so cool. Ah! I love Estinian. Yep, you just get cutscened out of the city again. Like, nope, you don't get to go there yet. Nuh-uh. That meeting took a rather unexpected turn, but we now have a clear objective ahead of us. Let's rejoin our comrades in Sharlayan and muster a suitable crew for a foray into the Tower of Zot. Oh, and if you haven't already done so, be sure to attune to the Aetherite here before departing. Unless, of course, you enjoy violent nausea. Not particularly. I love how the game just spells it out. Like, you fucking idiot, attune! just do it! And I'm over here like the person who keeps forgetting to attune to Aetherites. Like, no! I'm sorry! Oh yeah, I get to teleport here for free, because I have used the companion app ever. If you've ever paid for the companion app on phone, you just permanently get a free Aetherite that you can register, to which you can teleport for 0 gil, no matter where you are. And I like keeping this registered to one of the hubs. So what I did on my main and what I'll do again on Rain is register Old Sharlayan as the free teleport location. And then once we get it, register Rads as the home point for return. Which is very nice. So you get... I found that I need Rads less often than I need Sharlayan. So that order is useful for me. But if you were, say, someone who crafts, like, a lot and goes back and forth between Radzatan and other places before the return timer has recovered, then putting it in Rads is obviously the better choice. Because then you can teleport to the hub for free. Which is always nice. Just so as getting used to the balmy Thavner, we're back in chilly Charlian. Take care not to catch your death, eh? We need you for the battles to come. Now then, your investigation here remains, but when that's over, we can take a stock of all the developments and discoveries. One thing I love about the Final Fantasy series is that it's a perfect marriage between medieval fantasy and like science fantasy. You have all these like very traditional, very medieval-esque areas, but you also have this like massive amount of technological progress and magical progress in the world. Like, the only conditions that really warrant being in a hospital are conditions that in the real world also would warrant being in a hospital. If you have a cold, you go to a doctor, they give you a cold potion, you drink it, have bed rest for a few days, and then you're cured. Heck, if you get wounded in battle, someone just casts Vita on you. Or Cure in English. And you're fine. Wound healed. Done. It's so cool. I love this concept. I don't hate medieval settings per se. I love medieval fantasy. It's a very nice genre. But I vastly prefer a more realistic medieval fantasy setting where if magic is real, there's no reason why society in a fantasy world should be at the same point in time as our society was after that many thousand years into its development. If you have made it technologically to the point where you can build houses and churches very easily, where you have at least carriage transport with animals dragging them, etc., and you have a function in society, unless there's some fundamental like corruption in the world that keeps society at that level, there's no reason why it shouldn't be better than our medieval times were, because magic exists, and magic must have been steadily developing, steadily progressing through research alongside regular technology, is my point. Which is why I think most medieval fantasy settings are just wildly unrealistic, because they don't consider how a world would be if it naturally progressed like our world but with magic. They just take any time period they like out of real life and just add magic into it, but it feels like magic has been added into it just very recently every time, which some settings pull that off very well. Shadowrun, for instance, is an excellent example of this being done well, where magic has been added to modern times only a few decades ago. It is a very new concept to that setting, which is why it makes sense that the magic side of things would be underdeveloped compared to the technology side of things. Because, well, there hasn't been mages for most of history in Shadowrun. I like that a lot. Anyway, small tangent on world design. An unsettling change has come over Charlian, but together we will divine the underlying cause of the Forum's carelessness. As I mentioned before, however, questioning the councillors directly is a fruitless endeavor. They seem to have already come to a consensus as to what and how little they are willing to divulge. Which is why I began scouring Charlian's archive of historical records for any hint of a connection to the final days. Suffice it to say that the progress has been slow. there are only so many dusty pages and one can skim in a day. But now I have a band of willing reinforcements. The search should proceed all the swifter. Let us reconvene at Set the Numenon, shall we? Exit the annex to the right, and you'll find the archives on the western edge of the woods. Tauchboot 5. Come on. You can name the boats. Oh yeah, that was the discussion. I already read that message. My brain, it is disintegrating. Oh yeah, I wanted to briefly go on a tangent about the wind on the Tavnerian coast that you were talking about with the dress going crazy. Fun fact, that is actually not a physical simulation of wind. This game does not simulate wind physics. At all. There's no physics simulation implemented for, well, basically anything. The only physics simulation we have is falling down, which is pretty simple. Now the question might be, how then does the wind work? If it's not wind physics, how is there wind? And that's a pretty ancient technique. I'm excited about old techniques because it means they had to be solved when computers were bad. Which means the solutions to these problems are usually really, really good. And really, really smart. Because they had to do it when there wasn't a lot of capacity for calculating stuff. What they use for this game, and what they use for most games that are running on hardware that can't afford full cloth simulation, is what is called a bone wind. They are called bone winds because that is exactly how they work. The skeleton of the characters in this game, and by that I mean the skeleton that the model parts are stuck to, the logical skeleton, includes bones that make the shape of a dress around the character's legs. And these bones are just constantly animated in all walking animations, in all movement animations, to behave how a dress would if the character was wearing a dress. And the way that these don't mess with other models is that if they rig the models of the clothing items, if the clothing item doesn't include a dress, they just don't rig it to the dress bones. They just ignore them. They just rig it to the leg bones, and then that's fine. So the way the wind works is by playing an animation that drags these dress bones. And that also actually goes for like hair bones. There's bones here for the hair. Actually, there's one bone probably that wiggles all of it. And they draw it in the direction that the developers say the wind goes on that map. And the beauty of Bone Wind, why it's actually really smart, is that it's applied in the direction of the wind relative to the map. That means if the character turns, the direction that the effect drags these bones around actually changes with character orientation to give the illusion of wind. But all that's happening is that it's playing a constant animation relative to character rotation. And this technique has been around about as long as 3D games had wind. You couldn't do full cloth simulations on, like, an N64, for instance. So either you used, like, fully pre-rendered cloth simulation, where you just play a GIF on what's called a billboard. A billboard is a term for a 3D model that's just a flat surface that contains an image. where you would just play the animation of it waving, or if it was actually waving, you would use bone winds on basically all hardware up until the mid-2000s. Because until NVIDIA physics was commonplace in computers, computer hardware was too bad for full cloth simulation. Cloth simulation is really, really complex. And only ever since we have physics accelerators on graphics cards, or then about a decade later, just computer processors that are good enough to have enough free processing capacity to do physics simulation, we didn't actually have true cloth physics. They are very modern. They are a very recent thing in games to be widespread, because ATI and then later AMD, after they bought ATI, didn't put physics accelerators into their graphics cards until a while after NVIDIA did it with PhysX. And then even then, physics was, for a long time, a lot better than non-physics implementations. So, I don't know if you remember the original LEGO Star Wars games, but the original LEGO Star Wars games had particle physics on the lightsabers that were only visible if you had an NVIDIA graphics card. And that was because your computer wasn't able to calculate those particles, and it relied on the physics accelerator chip on the NVIDIA graphics card, which if you didn't have one, they had to turn it off, or the game would lag. And that's a small tidbit of video game history. I studied video game development in university, so I'm very much a nerd by trade about this kind of stuff, and I love talking about it. But yeah, video game development is fascinating, and that's what this game uses. It uses bone wind to have physics simulation. Actually, the software I'm using for my avatar, my model, my face, uses Live 2D, which has very much the same concept. I could turn wind on for myself, and then it would use the same thing. There is physics-enabled bones or parameters on the model that would then just be randomly bumped a bit to create the illusion of wind. Also, if I move around, you can see like my mane kind of bob around. That's because there's a very simple pendulum simulation. The input parameter of this pendulum is tied to my head movement, left to right. So if I move my head, I kind of move this pendulum around, the fixed part of the pendulum, and then take a sip. I'll get a drink in a second. Just let me finish the sentence. The fixed part of the pendulum is tied to my head movement, and then the end of the pendulum is tied to a specific parameter that kind of jiggles my majestic mane around to kind of give the illusion of that being actual hair. Of course it is actual hair, but you know, that's how that works. It's really fun. Like, this is a technique that is used today in a lot of things because it works. It's so simple, it's so flexible, it's so genius. I love it. Anyway, I'll get something to drink. Okay, I've returned. I've drink. There we go. Drink. Sip. That's such a good emote. Oh, I love it. Just. But yeah, I've actually toyed with the idea of doing a modeling, or rather a rigging stream. Because there's a few things I want to add to the Live 2D model. For instance, there's a way to have like better mouth shapes when I'm talking, to make it closer to the words I'm actually saying. Right now I have like mouth flaps, just opens and closes again, which it gets the point across, but it could be better. I've just got to actually make it, and I'm in the wrong building. But yeah, I've toyed with the idea of maybe doing a rigging stream. But I'm also kind of wary of it breaking the immersion too much, which I don't enjoy. I mean, I know everyone knows what VTubers are at this point. But I still like the immersion of being Snake. It gives me, like, euphoria to be Snake. And not be not Snake. So it's less about, like, oh no, I don't want to break the immersion on stream. It's more like, I don't want to suffer dysphoria because I modify myself on stream. But I still kind of want to do it. I'm also, honestly, I'm slightly worried about, like, interest. So I'd only do it if people would actually be interested in watching me do model rigging for 4 hours. Instead of playing a game. There's always kind of the sad fact of being a streamer is always having to make the decision if I want to do something on stream or like by myself off stream. You know? But yeah, so if anyone watching right now, or if anyone watching this as a VOD, wants to see me do a model rigging stream, please let me know. If you want to see this, the chance of me doing it is higher if you tell me that you want to see it, is what I'm trying to get across. Oh, you're talking about Deke. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Deke. Ta-da. Boop. My directions were easy enough to follow, I hope. In any case, you stand now before the doors of Numenon, Sharlayan's grandest collection of books and tomes. This building is actually only an entrance, and one of many at that, for the archives of Numenon extended deep beneath the surface like the roots of a tree. The vast halls of the Great Gubar Library pale in comparison to Numenon's endless maze of subterranean chambers. Any citizen of Sharlayan is free to enter and peruse its shelves. Well, most of its shelves. Only Archons are afforded access to certain restricted vaults. I have dispatched Y'shtola and Raha to investigate those. Meanwhile, Alize and Elfina will help me continue my research, and my search through the stacks open to the general public. Your status presents more of a problem. As a non-citizen, you are only permitted to browse the first floor here at the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books which upon Charlian history, foreign policy. Your task will be to find and study the relevant publications. I promise you, a working knowledge of those subjects will make it far easier to spot the sort of clues we're looking for. Let us be about it, shall we? I've told the others to meet us at the stone benches over there once they've found some promising tomes. Happy reading! But yeah, so I also want to learn 3D modeling eventually. I will still probably stream most things using the live 2D model, just because it's easier on the hardware to use a 2D model than a 3D model. But I want to make 3D Sneak eventually. Not only because it's fun to make 3D Sneak, but also because if I finally manage to make a model myself, I can use that as reference for other artists. I'm just kind of clicking through these at the moment. These are really fun trivia, but I don't really want to read them all right now. If you want to know what's in these books, buy the game, play it yourself. Students of Wisdom, nope. Actually, no, this could be relevant. The case of the sixth calamity, Arkham Newcrab, founder of Charlian, bore witness to the madness and savagery of men brought by the brink of despair. Upon raising a settlement on an island in the northern empty, he instructed his people thus: renounce the ways of war, pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason. The Charlians took to heart the words of their savior, and thenceforth served as stewards of wisdom. Upon a foundation of accumulated learning, they built a homeland unlike any other, a nation born from strength of minds rather than strength of arms. With knowledge of economics came shrewd trading. With knowledge of agriculture came bountiful crops. Engineering brought wells and sewers, ending squabbles over water. A wealth of experience could be bartered for wealth and coin. And more their wisdom spread throughout the world, the more the mankind as a whole would thrive. And so it was that no matter the trials and tribulations of the age, the citizen of Charlian would live by their founder's teachings. For the sake of a better tomorrow, for the sake of a brighter star, they would eschew the tools of war, and with knowledge deliver the world. Oh, the colony, yeah. Many years ago, in the banks of Thalic and Dravanian hinterlands, a Charlian colony once thrived. The settlement was originally established as a mere outpost to study the ethereal sea in the year 1311 of the 6th Astral Era. Scholars dispatched to Eorzea found the facilities wanting, and the demands encouraged a gradual expansion in structures and services. As rumors spread of a growing community of academics, the area was further inundated with Eorzean students, hoping to share the renowned wisdom of the Charlians. 50 years later, the Forum passed a motion to recognize what had become Flourishing Town as an official Charlian colony. Eorzean residents took to calling the colony itself Charlian, which led to no small amount of confusion when discussions turned to the subject of the motherland. In response, some Charlian inhabitants, if pressed for a name, would simply refer to it as the Emporium. Following the exodus, however, goblins and treasure hunters claimed for themselves a corner of the abandoned colony and gave it yet another name, Idleshire. Or Idleshire, I think. The following chapters go into Okay, that was apparently irrelevant. Great. The story of Charlian. Oh. Long, long ago, on an island in the Northern Sea, there lived a Rogadin man by the name of Noonkrapf. Noonkrapf was a student of astrology, as he divined that a flood of terrifying proportions would soon sweep over the lands of Eorzea. So it was that he built a gigantic ship, assembled a crew, and set sail for that imperiled realm. The flood arrived as foretold, and to their horror, the strangely churning waters drove the people toward the ocean. It was, however, that Nunkrep's crew hauled them aboard this ark. But the danger had not passed. A towering wave approached, threatening to smash the vessel to pieces. With only moments to spare, Nunkrep wove a mighty spell of teleportation and shifted the entire ship to safety atop Abalathia's spine. Refugees from the surrounding regions huddled there alongside them, but it was no longer before disputes over the dwindling supply of food led to violence and bloodshed. Saddened by the sight, Nunkrep gathered to him his crew and grateful passengers, and abandoned the ark to those reddened peaks. They journeyed to the coast, where they built a new ship, intent of returning to the northern seas. They landed on the beach of an island and settled upon that very spot. That settlement prospered and grew, and at a time it became the city of Sharlayan we live to this day. We live into this day. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, ba, da, ba, ba. Oh, this one I think I already read. Yes. The ones that you need to read don't go away, which is confusing. Forever 20 Summers? Oh my god, no. This is Forever 21. What a pun. Sometimes, you know. Introduction to the heavens. I don't think this will be relevant, but bop, 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 bop. What are you? In the years which followed the founding of Sharlayan, civic policy and other matters of import were decided in the Ecclesia, a public forum at which every citizen was eligible to speak. As the city's population grew, however, this format became increasingly impractical. The larger number of participants gave rise to ever longer debates, resulting in significant delays. Various measures were introduced as an attempt to curtail portrait discussions, but in the year 201 of the 6th Astral Era, it was ultimately decreed that Sharlayan would transition to a new form of governance. The nation would now be led by a body of 99 members, citizens chosen from amongst their peers by means of nationwide vote. Thus was the forum, as we know it today, conceived and created. Ding! I love this place, by the way. Oh, look at how deep it is. I hope none of you are afraid of heights, but what I wouldn't give to be able to access a library like this. It is, what, 5? 6? 1, 2... No, that's the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Yeah, 6 if you count that one. 6 stories tall, chock full of books. Ah, paradise. So good. Well, found the person with fear of heights. Sorry, were you waiting long? I wanted to make sure it borrowed at least a few promising volumes. I feel known Kral should also be here along shortly. I was delayed in a similar fashion. As far as I could see, no titles in the Archon stacks were entered the final day specifically, so I've no choice but to start with the tangentially relevant tomes, if they even are that. At present, the plan is to skim through as quickly as we dare, and share our discoveries as we make them. It would have been nice to invite everyone to the estate. Plenty of comfortable places to read and a ready supply of hot tea. Oh, I was always quite fond of reading outside. But it's not about the little pleasures, is it? You miss your home. It's been difficult. After arrival, we've managed to speak with one of the family servants and ask how things were. It seems our dear father has instructed the staff that even if Alfino and I were to return to Sharlayan, we were not to be allowed to cross the threshold. A harsh measure indeed. I hope that our efforts to understand his position and that of the Forum will perhaps lead to reconciliation. You'll mend this rift one day, I'm certain of it. And what of you, Ra? Have you been to visit your family? Or do they not live here in the city? Well, my situation is also somewhat complicated. I was raised in Sharlayan, yes, but I was born rather further away. In the southern reaches of Ulzabad, in fact. For generations, my people have dwelled in Corvos, the coastal region opposite the island of Tavernaire. The Alagans founded the city in that fertile land, and by ship brought in the subjugated tribes of Mikote that served as laborers. Of course, the massive earthquakes of the Fourth Umbral Calamity brought an end to the Empire's reign. And when the Fifth Calamity froze the sea solid, many of the tribes still living in Corvos braved the journey back to Eorzea. My ancestors, however, chose to remain that they might prevent the remnants of Alagan technology from being misused. Isn't Corvos under Garlean rule? For the past 50 years, yes. Some semblance of local culture remains, as is the case for most imperial provinces. But Garlemald renamed the region Locus Aemonus. Locus Amogus. Got it. When I was a boy, a nearby town came under the jurisdiction of an illustrious imperial family, the nobles of House Darnus. House Darnus demonstrated a singular interest in Alagan civilization, and so my tribe was forced to consider a plan of action. For some time already, voices have been raised in favor of abandoning our ancient customs. After all, the Alagan Eye no longer passed to our eldest children as reliably as it once had. Fear of discovery eventually tipped the scales. The decision was made to bury our ties with the knowledge and traditions of Alag. As the last child born with the Alagan Eye, I was given over to the custody of friends and the students of Baldesion, but been registered as a Sharlayan citizen. I never even considered. Forgive me, it was an unkind question. Even Thancred was taken in by Archon Lozier, was he not? Stories of adopted wives and rescued orphans are more common among Sharlayans than you might think. Yet, regardless of our origins, we are all provided with an equal opportunity to learn. With sufficient perspicacity, what the fuck does it mean? I'm googling this word, fuck it. Perspicacity? The quality of having a ready insight into things. Shrewdness. I see. We outsiders can even earn the vaunted title of Archon. That is exactly why I have such a love for this country, and why I wish it to remain a nation of which its citizen can be proud. Hear, hear. Another good reason to get the bottoms of the Forum's stubbornness. Aside from the trifling matter of impending doom. Excuse us while we try to make some headway into this book's reign. More companies should be arriving at any moment now. We've returned with her selections. Although I must say, the pickings are quite slim indeed. Mistress Kryl has already flicked through every history book devoted to disasters, and more than a few which barely mentioned them. As such, we'll be looking into research papers on the Umbral Calamities, as well as articles written by prominent forum members. Perhaps their knowledge of the final days comes from an unexpected source. Speaking of which, I may ask you a few questions regarding related to the final days. I'm the only one here who didn't witness the events of Amara at firsthand. And I fear I may be overlooking critical details. My thanks. Now where to begin? First things first, what kind of phenomena did the ancients encounter as the final days drew nigh? True story, my teacher in profession school wanted to... What? Huh? Sorry, but I do not for the love of me know what you mean by the middle part. Want to go with the local doom? I get the first and the last part. No problem. The middle part, I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're saying. Oh. Dom. Like in Köln. That's cathedral in English. I see. I see. Why the fuck did you go on your local cathedral in profession school? Huh? Your teacher's weird. Anyway, I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that. I'm not afraid of heights. But I do feel uneasy when I'm very high up and it's not sufficiently secured. Like, I don't know how familiar, because I don't know where you live. I don't know how familiar you are with the Ruhr area, kind of sightseeing things. But there's a sculpture called the Tetraeder, that has platforms mounted in it. It's a massive, just tetrahedron with a few platforms at angles in it. And that thing, that gives me vertigo, because it's just oddly angled platforms of like mesh metal that you can see through. Like, it's not even solid. It is like this see-through walkway stuff. That is decently stable, but it's still like, that thing terrifies me. I don't like being on it. But like, skyscraper is fine. I've been on top of the TV tower in the Fernsehturm in Munich. And that's been fine too. As long as it's sufficiently secured, I'm fine. But if I have the opportunity to be scared of like tripping over the railing and falling down, nah. No thank you. So I'm not scared of heights per se. The height isn't the problem. The likelihood of me falling down and dying is the issue. That's the part I'm scared of. No. Anyway. Complete destabilization of creation magics. Yes, the unfolding catastrophe wrought havoc in all manner of life. The chaos extended to the ancients themselves, causing their powers of creation to spiral out of control. Fear and despair manifested in terrible, tangible fashion. Meteors raining from the sky, fire erupting from the ground, indescribable abominations prowling the streets. That more or less aligns with my understanding. If only the arts of creation had survived until the present day, we might have something substantial to analyze. That is 10 years ago. Oh boy. Been a while then. To the best of our knowledge, however, those techniques were not preserved or passed on. Which further surmises that the closest known magic is that of the summoning rituals promulgated by the Asians. Was there aught else of note which heralded the approach of the final days? The entire star was engulfed by a disaster all at once. I think you may be misremembering. I recall it was more of a gradual spread. Mauritans spoke of a keening sound that rose from the land itself just before a region was visited by a catastrophe. We never did hear the sound ourselves, of course. Thrust as we were in the middle of this madness. So the ground was crying out, you say? To be considered a harbinger of doom, it must have been quite distinctive, and probably quite loud. I'll have to speak with one of Numenon's Mehmets. I'll ask if any books which make mention of such a sound. Last but not least, would you describe how the ancients sought to quell this unprecedented calamity? What definitive action did they take? They summoned Zodiac. Yes, with Olympus serving as his heart. So many gave themselves in the sacrifice into bringing him into being. We do not know exactly how Zodiac brought salvation to the star, only that his godlike will where the laws of the nature set right. Then, once the balance was redressed, the ancients offered up a further sacrifice to heal the ravages of the final days. Lives sprouted anew, and it was these fledgling souls that they intended to render unto Zodiac, a trade that would have allowed them to resurrect the shades of loved ones absorbed by the primal. Or might have, had Venat and her followers not manifested their opposition in form of Eidolin. Thank you, both of you, for the detailed review. I feel much more confident now in my understanding of events. With all that freshly in mind, it does make me wonder what the Telephoroi truly mean when they speak of bringing back the final days. We've seen what they are doing with those towers of theirs, as forcing people to summon primals as a kind of catalyst. Are they attempting to mirror the conditions caused by unstable creation magics? Or are they simply using the final days as a figure of speech, a convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction they plan to unleash? But this is all just pointless conjecture at this stage. Let's return to attention to the forum, shall we? We should keep an eye out for Ishtola, but this time we began to studying these papers. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. I'm the last, am I? Well, my external search of the Archon stacks produced one or two possibly useful books, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. If you recall, Urian learned of the source's reflections on the Gurren oracles, for its potential to cause panic and confusion. The tome was deemed apocrypha and sealed away with within the great Gubal library. It is even less likely that knowledge of the unsundered world, not to mention the horrors of the final days, would be left sitting on a shelf for any curious scholar to find. It stands to reason, then, that my colleagues, be they Archons or Consulars, should perforce be largely ignorant of the subject. Yet when you confronted Master Fortuno with the knowledge of the Telephoroi and their machinations, he scoffed at the suggestions that they posed a threat. He seemed adamant that the Forum would know if the final days were truly upon us, which only supports the conclusion that whatever privileged wisdom is guiding the Forum's behavior, it's being kept secret from the rest of the nation. Not that I mean to excuse myself from reading duty. Whether they contain mention of the final days or no, these books could yet hold something of value. You weren't thinking of leaving, were you? There's plenty of work for everyone. Ah! No, not the reading. I would love to. I would love to just spend eternity reading that library. I actually own both of the lore books, by the way. I have them in the cupboard behind me. And they are fantastic reading material. I can just highly recommend, if anyone doesn't have them and is into this game, and you can get your hands on them, buy them. They are worth it. I'm also very excited for the third volume that is set to release, I think sometime this year, which I'll definitely buy, because I want more lore. Oh dear, you look exhausted. But what about your studies? Were you able to find any books on the subjects I mentioned? Lore snake. Yes. There's also snake lore, which I also need to do a stream for again someday. I have lore. I've written quite extensive lore, actually. Then the day was well spent. Should you wish to read them again, a moment at the reference desk will point you in the right direction. For the moment, though, I suggest you take a well-deserved rest. You might be occupied with the research for quite some time. Ready for a tea break, Rain? I know I am. Honestly, my neck and shoulders are going to calcify if I don't stretch my legs and walk around for a bit. You know the last stand at that harbor, don't you? Come and meet me near the outside tables. I'll treat you to that coffee. It's quite good. Coffee. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Music. As busy as ever, I see. How very Charlian that no other gourmet cafe has sprung up to compete for customers. What the fuck? What the fuck? Actually, this crowd gives me an idea. Before we place an order, why don't we ask a few questions and gauge the mood of the city? Gauge the mood of the city. I'm interested to hear what the average citizen has to say about the Telophori. You might even learn something new. Worth a try, don't you think? Nest meme? I've never watched Nest. That would be the rest of my raid party. So sorry, those will go squarely over my head every time. Anyway, that'll be stream for the day. I think this is as good a point as any to wind down for stream. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for hydrating the snake. I hope you have enjoyed the stream. Tomorrow, there'll be one more for this week. We'll be playing more Persona 5, probably. Persona 5 Strikers, I should specify. Which game in the Persona series? Strikers. And, yeah. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.